Greetings, and once again, we'd like to welcome you to CopBLUE's I've Got Your Six. Before I start every video, I'd like to use Marcus Aurelius' quote before we introduce the Honorable Todd Hardy, the coroner of Darlington County here. And we'll talk a little bit about during our conversation why I picked this particular quote, but we ought to do good to others as simply as a horse runs or a bee makes honey. Ravine bears grapes season after season without thinking of the grapes it is born. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but it'll become clearer as we go, or hopefully it'll be clearer than mud. This is Todd Hardy. He is the coroner of Darlington County, South Carolina. He's been a coroner for 20 plus years. So he's got a lot of interesting stories and just a lot of sage knowledge, if you will, that he can share with us as we talk about what's going on not only in our county but around our country. So first of all, Todd Hardy, huh? You've been the coroner for 20 years, so why politics?
Oh, I tell you, first of all, it is a pleasure to sit in here with you this afternoon.
Well, I appreciate
I'm going to tell you, you've come a long way since I met you the very first time you came to Darlington as a, what do y'all call it, a patrolman?
Mm-hmm.
And I watched you work your way all the way to the chief, And I'm going to tell you what now, you did a good job. And our city is very fortunate to have had you. I want to tell you that right now. One of these days, I'd like to see you again.
Well,
you never can tell.
Well,
you never can tell.
Well, you never know.
But I'm going to tell you, it's been a pleasure working with you for all of my 20-some years as coroner. You've been there.
Yes, sir.
All of them. So you've been around a long time.
I've been there a minute.
Yeah.
I think we've seen way too much death in our lifetime.
Yes,
unfortunately.
we have.
So let me just, like I said, before, why politics? Why did you get into politics to begin with?
Well, politics, when I first was elected coroner, I never thought of myself as a politician, but I'm a funeral director by trade.
Right.
And my family, we're in the funeral business, and I never really thought too much about being a politician, but in the funeral business, we always, I guess you want to call, for lack of a better word, politicking, so it wasn't until I tried my hand at politics many years ago and found I wasn't real good at it. So I kind of paused for a little bit. But politics, when you say why politics as a whole, in general, as the big picture, I think that if you ever aspire to actually make a difference, most everything connected to the difference is political.
I see. Well, this is a picture of what Todd used to look like when he had dark hair. Now you can see that some of his hair has turned loose and some of it has turned
But
gray.
I had hair, that's right.
Well, you never know what will happen with the coroner too, because this is a picture of him here with the on horseback during one of the. I don't know how they got him on
We
horse.
won't get into that, but that was a lost bet.
Did you actually have to? Did they put a ladder up there for you to climb on the horse?
They did, and the horse, I remember, they put me on Mr. Ed, the talking horse, and the first thing he said was, one at a time, please.
I like DB horses. You know what DB horses?
I have no idea.
Dead broke.
Dead broke. Well, that was a dead broke one, I tell you. But boy, he must have lost a bet. Had to ride me.
I hear you. Well, look, how many elections did you run in before you actually won?
Well, the first time I ever offered for a position, I ran for the City Council of Darlington, South Carolina.
How'd that work out?
It didn't work out real good. But I remember, I'm going to tell you a little story about that. Miss Kissler, who was my mentor in a lot of things, and that's who I worked for, she was such a brilliant lady. But I went to her and I told her I was going to offer for city council and all this sort of stuff, and she told me, she said, do you think you can win? And I said, Miss Kissler, win? You must be lost your mind. I've never lost anything in my life, and I don't need to start losing today. Win ain't going to be the word. Well, just how big I'm going to win is going to be the question.
Right.
So, Danny, I offered for city council. There were 14 of us running in the race, and I got beat like a tambourine at a holiness temple final. I'm telling you, and I just didn't know. So, I kind of crawled into my little hole, and 2 or 3 days later, I got a letter in the mail, and I still got it in my safe. And the letter was from Miss Kissler. It simply said this: Mr. Hardy, you said you never lost anything in your life. Well, it's high time you did. And she signed it. And I saved that for all these years. So you can rest assured that after that loss, I planned out the next election a little bit different. So,
I understand.
Yeah.
But the reason that you got into politics in general is because that you wanted to make a positive difference and not only in our county, but as a county coroner, I'm sure that you work with the other coroners within our state.
We do.
And do a lot towards molding policies to be helpful for not only people in Darlington County, but people throughout our state, as well as interacting with coroners from around the country to try and develop policies that are helpful to not only the people who have to deal with the coroner's offices, but in addition to that, law enforcement that you work hand in hand with every day.
It is, we do have a very good relationship with all the coroners that are located around the state, all of them. And we spend a lot of time together developing policy. But coroner, in the last 20 years, everything changes. I know law enforcement changes the way it was when you first came on. It's a little different now. The coroner's office changes as well. So we kind of get together and see if we can sync these ideas so that it's the same in every county. And so in doing so, a lot of counties in South Carolina bring a lot of different things to the table. And we have a lot of, we have various coroners from all walks of life. We're in law enforcement, police officers are police officers. But in the coroner business, the people come from different walks of life. We even have a coroner that owns a radio station up in the upstate, but most of them have some sort of a background in either law enforcement or death investigation or something of that sort. So Darlington County, our little claim to fame is we've started some our infant child death reviews that were born here in Darlington County, and it was just an idea years ago that we said we found ourselves having a lot of infant and child deaths, and we as Darlington County, we said what we're going to do is we're going to form a committee, I guess is a good word to say, but a group of people that can look at these deaths and see what the commonalities are, and stay away from judging, stay away from right or wrong, stay away from prosecution, stay away, and just simply look at the death and say, how can we take this death of this child and make sure that it doesn't occur again? And that's, so if you hear now of child death reviews that were born right here in Darlington County. So,
Wow.
Yeah. So that's one of the positives and one of the pros of the job.
Oh, very good. So, let me ask you this, that, in law enforcement, of course, we're not being called to people's birthday parties, to people's anniversaries. We're being called to see the worst thing that happens in people's lives every single day. And as a coroner, that's something that's doubly sure for you, and doubly the same for y'all, that you're going to deaths every day. So, what do you think has helped you to manage to deal with that and just the horror of it and be able to come out on the other side and still remain sane? Although, I will say, there are some people I know who would say that you're not really sane, but just for the sake of saying that you are sane.
I think it all depends on how you look at it. And I chose a long time ago to look at the death as how did it occur and how can we maybe make sure it doesn't occur again. So most everything, not everything, but a lot of things that we see are what people would consider horrific.
Right.
And I don't know. I think being in the funeral business and being all my life, that's the only job I've really ever had in my life. So I think that kind of programs you for certain things of that sort. But I try to look past that, the person, the deceased, and look at immediately who's attached to them and how can we make this incident better for them. And that tends to lead me through it, Danny, a little bit more than anything else. When I just step past that very quick. All right, I see it, I know what's going on, I know I'm going to figure out what it is, but let's go past that right now and look at that 16-year-old child who this is her daddy and see how we can start making that better. And then this gets better for me. I know that makes no sense.
Well, it does make sense.
Yeah.
It does make sense. I mean, because, there's a grieving process that takes place. We interviewed the chief from the Florence Regional Airport a couple of weeks ago, and we talked about, with the loss of the young officer and how dramatic that was for them over there, and how they have tried to move past it, but trying to learn to live with it. And that's what you're talking about, is learning to live with death and it being your constant partner. And unfortunately, that's just the business that we're in. That's the business I used to be in. So let me ask you this, and as a follow-up question, how many personnel do you have work for you?
We have 5.
Five? Okay, but those guys, they deal with death every single day. I mean, this is what they do. They're on call. They go out to the most horrific things you can imagine. How would you say, as an administrator or as the boss, how do you help them maintain their sanity as you move through?
Well, first of all, early on, I know this sounds kind of crazy, but I chose to pick the best people I could. And I chose people that could actually help me.
Right.
So I know that's backwards.
No, that's not.
But I chose people
philosophy.
that could take me to the mountaintop. Let me give you an example. Terry Gainey. I know you know Terry. He's one of our I call them associates, but technically they're deputy coroners. Terry had an experience in his life that took he and me and all of our people. He's my friend from high school. Took us to his knees. He lost a child.
Right.
And it devastated him and almost killed us. All of his friends. It just almost killed us. And Terry, and I know you know Terry. He's Fraternal Order of Police now. I think he's the state.
He's the state president of
Fraternal Order of Police. So Terry's loss, although it almost killed me and Terry Gainey and Sam and all of us, that loss made him one of the best coroners I have ever seen in my life when it comes to dealing with incidents like kind.
Right.
So I chose Terry because Terry, not only is he good at investigation and all the other stuff that we do, but he taught me how to deal with those things.
Right.
Jody Atkinson, one of the best arson investigators I've ever seen in my life. I chose Jody because he could teach me arson and fires and things of that sort. Terry Anderson, this guy investigated everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, if I can get Terry Anderson, I had to wait 5 years to get him. I said, but if I can ever get him, he can take me to the mountaintop, but he's already on.
Right.
So I chose a long time ago that if I picked the right people, it would not only make their job easy, but it would make my job easy. So that's how I chose to do it.
That's a great philosophy, actually. There's a great philosopher everybody knows named Socrates. It was a great story that he relates about speaking to a captain outside of the council. He wanted to be a general, and he basically related to this captain. It's not about the scars you get on the battlefield, but whether or not you're able to bring the people together to fight for you.
Mm-hmm.
Because, a general doesn't necessarily have to fight. He just has to be able to organize people to fight for him.
That's right.
Just like a choir director doesn't need to know how to sing. They just need to know how to get a choir together and make them harmonize. A choir director doesn't have to sing a lick.
That's right.
That's how it is. That's a great philosophy.
Well, we've got a choir. The thing is, I tell Terry Gainey, he thinks I'm crazy, but in Darlington County, everybody's 1/5 of a coroner, including me. And when you put us all together with a coroner, you take one of us out, Danny, and it's a mess. You let somebody go on vacation, and we're 4/5 of a coroner, it's a mess. But you get us all together, in my opinion, it's a hard group to beat, man. It's a hard group to beat.
That's the best thing to do is to gather the people around you who can help you get the job done. So, leading up to this CopBLUE's edict, if you will, it's about saving lives and law enforcement. And we deal so much, unfortunately, with suicide in law enforcement. But there's been just an explosion of suicide within the law enforcement community in the last decade. We've said this before on the show. There's 228 police officers committed suicide in 2019, and only 30 were killed by gunfire in the first 10 months of the year. So that's an epidemic. So let's just talk about suicide for just a few minutes. And I know you've seen a bunch of it. Is there any kind of insight that you have on what we can do as a community to try and prevent suicide not only within law enforcement ranks and public safety in general, but also within our community itself?
Well, suicide is a very difficult disorder. I don't want to call it a disorder. It's a very difficult thing to understand, and I'm not sure that I understand it. And I'm not sure a lot of times that folks I've dealt with over the years, a lot of people that have taken their own I don't know what goes through people's minds. I know, I'll give you an example. I remember years ago, I had gone over to this murder-suicide where a person took their own life and took another person's life prior to that. And there was the former coroner of Darling County, who's a good friend of mine, and probably one of the sharpest coroners that ever lived was Elvis Norton. And he's still around. And 20-some years later, I still call him and bounce ideas off of him and ask him things. So Eldridge, who is also in the funeral business, happened to be serving the families of the people that were deceased. And I said, Eldridge, what do you think about this? Because he knew the people. And he said, Coroner, he said, you don't never know where your old mind's going to take you. And I've repeated that numerous times over the years. You never know. I don't know what makes people choose to take their own life. I do know that they do it. I know that people don't understand it. Yesterday, one of the best friends I've ever had in my whole life, from the 6th grade to now, chose to take his own life, and he died while I was standing there. So the question you asked me has resonated in my mind all night long. Wonder why he didn't call me. What could I have done to help him? Where was he mentally? What was going on in his mind? What was making this dark hole? Well, the answer to the question, I don't know. In law enforcement, I think that there are some of the best people on earth, law enforcement officers.
I agree.
There are. But there's some folks that are law enforcement officers that perhaps aren't prepared to see the things that they see. Because you will vouch for the fact that you see all sorts of things as a police officer.
Yes.
And you see, when you were not a police officer, there was a tape, big old tape around things, and a sheet. And you rode by and you saw the sheet and you saw the tape. But the moment you became an officer, you got access to the inside of the tape. And inside that tape, there's a reason why we block it from the public to see. Right. There's a reason for it. And when people get in and they see it over and over again, and I think sometimes something inside of that tape may relate to something going on in their life that we don't know about, and the two collide. And when they do, it creates a toxic environment that exacerbates over a period of time and does not have a pretty ending.
I agree with that. Absolutely. Well, look, is there anything else you wanted to add that you might like to send out to our folks out there watching the CopBLUE's I've Got Your Six?
I think that police officers right now, that, as my grandmother would say, day and time, whatever that is, there has never been a better time to be a police officer. There's never been a better time to serve folks. But as coroner and as police officer, that's what we do. We serve people. All people that we deal with aren't criminals. A lot of times the folks that come in to our office are folks that need some help.
Right.
And police officers are in the absolute best position to make a positive difference. Whether that's be driving by somebody's house, whoa, help her get her groceries in. Or let's get that tire changed. Or let's build a ramp. Or let's run 500 miles. Or let's do all the things. There's never been a better time to be a police officer and teach the younger folks that are coming along what it's all about. It is an excellent platform for positive change. If I had to add anything to the blue, if I could add anything, I work with some of the best police officers, in my opinion, on this earth. With the Danny Watsons of this world, with the Glenn Campbells of this world, with the Robin Bryants, and I could go on and on and on.
Sure.
But I've worked with some of the best. And the best ones I've seen in my life take this. They take their learning, they take their position, they take their knowledge, they take all that mess that y'all put together and call a police officer, and they use it for a platform for positive change. I would challenge every single police officer that watches this video to wake up tomorrow morning and say, where can I build a ramp? what can I do to be a platform for positive change? That's all I would say.
Well, once again, thank you so much.
Okay, it's my pleasure. It's always my pleasure to be with you. Always.
So in closing, I always like to say that the most successful thing you can do every day is to go home safe. So be safe out there, and thank you once again for joining us at CopBLUE's We've Got Your Six.
Pleasure.
How about that, brother?